Throughout the course of these past 17 months, hundreds of thousands of tenants have fallen behind on their rents. And as Congresswoman, your colleague, Cori Bush, has reminded us all, this isn't just a New Jersey problem either. Our entire nation faces a looming eviction crisis. But as New Jersey has done throughout the pandemic, we are not going to shrink away from our opportunity to show a better way forward, a fair and stable way forward, a way forward that is fair not just to renters, but also to their landlords, the overwhelming majority of whom are good people who care deeply about those they house, but who also need economic relief. Filling this void is what brings us together here today in Union City. In a few moments, I will proudly sign into law 2 measures that help alleviate the pressure and worry from hundreds of thousands of tenants who fear for the literal roof over their heads. And in doing so, we are setting a tone that can and should, and please God, I hope, reverberate in other state houses across our country. First and foremost, we will be injecting an additional $500 million in direct tenant relief. The new eviction prevention program within the Department of Community Affairs, led by my partner in government, let's hear an absentia for the Lieutenant Governor and the DCA Commissioner, Sheila Oliver. So the eviction prevention program will build on the department's successful emergency rental assistance programs and get these funds into the hands of families living below 120% of their county's area median income and who have suffered financially due to the pandemic. So here in Hudson County, for example, that would mean a family of 4 living with an income under $83,400 would qualify. And we will also step up with an additional $250 million in utility assistance where needed to ensure that families aren't just more secure in their homes, but protected against a potentially harmful utility shutoff. The department will be collaborating with partners in the nonprofit sector. I see Phyllis and Stacy and many others here. Renee, I'm not sure is here, but Renee is where? Hiding over here, and many other leaders who have been extraordinary. Thank you all. So they'll be partnering with the partners in our nonprofit sector to ensure that we not just identify those renters eligible for this relief, as well as, by the way, for other available resources, but that we engage them and bring them into this program. This will be the core work of the new Office of Eviction Protection. Now, getting money into the accounts of tenants so they can pay back some of their back rent is just one aspect. Money alone is not the solution. Money alone is not going to make a family feel more secure in their home, and money alone is not going to help landlords. This law will also responsibly wind down our eviction moratorium in a uniform way while protecting both the rights of good tenants and honest landlords. And I want to say this, I commend President Biden and his administration for their 60-day extension of the CDC moratorium in areas highly impacted by the virus. We are equally focused on protecting families, so hats off to them. I certainly hope the U.S. Supreme Court comes down with a different opinion on this extension. So under this new law, our new law, any tenant family living again below 120% of their county's area median income would be protected against eviction for non-payment of rent during the pandemic from March 1st of 2020 all the way through to the end of this month, August 31st, 2021. Moreover, this protection does not come with an end date. It is permanent. And tenants living below 80% of their county's area median income would also be protected against eviction from non-payment of rent from August 31st, 2021, all the way to December 31st, 2021, if they certify 3 simple things. 1, their income. 2, that they're unable to pay their rent due to circumstances arising from COVID-19. And thirdly, that the household has applied for any other applicable rental assistance programs. Now, to be clear, this does not mean that tenants won't have to make up for rent payments missed from March 2020 through the end of this year. If you owe rent, those payments will still have to be made, in many instances through the rental assistance I described a couple of minutes ago. But what this bill does mean is that these back rents cannot be used as grounds for an eviction. Instead, unpaid rent would be considered a civil debt, still recoverable by landlords as a money judgment, yet incapable of being used as a reason to kick someone out of their home. And as we do look to help landlords through assistance programs created for them in order to receive any help, they will first have to waive all late fees tied to back rent. Moreover, the debt owed by renters cannot, under this law, be handed off to a debt collector. And we will also, amen. And we will also not tolerate any landlords who mislead a tenant about when or if they can be evicted, or anyone who tries to cut open loopholes for themselves. And if you are a landlord, you must accept all rental assistance for which your tenants are eligible. Refusal to do so is against the law. So we know that our courts are already filling with pending evictions against families who simply could not pay the rent during the pandemic because their income dried up. The Department of Community Affairs is creating an online tool where renters facing such eviction actions can certify their income status, and once proving they live under 120% of the area median income, would have that eviction action dismissed. We will also ensure that tenants, amen to that, we will also ensure that tenants are not disadvantaged by legal actions that have been filed against them during the pandemic. The second new law I'm signing will make confidential any court record regarding a person's non-payment of rent during the period beginning March 9th of 2020 and ending August 3, as of yesterday, 2021. It also prohibits landlords from considering such information when evaluating prospective tenants, and prohibits anyone, including a tenant screening service, from providing such information to landlords. And by the way, he was mentioned. I want to thank Senator Troy Singleton, who I exchanged notes with this morning, for his leadership on this one as well. So as I mentioned at the beginning of my remarks, we are at an inflection point. Our economy continues to recover. Jobs continue to come back. Hundreds of thousands of families are once again finding their footings. The last thing we want for them is to be punished anew by these past 17 months of uncertainty and struggle. And if you look across the country, this is, if not one of the strongest packages of protections for tenants hard hit by the pandemic that you will find anywhere. I think we can all take great pride in this. Once again, New Jersey is leading by showing a fair and equitable way forward, not just for our families here at home, but for many millions more. This is truly a national model. I again thank everyone who played a role in making today possible, from our partners in the legislature, bless you, to the terrific team at the Department of Community Affairs, to the dedicated community nonprofits and tenants organizations who stood tall to protect the families in their own backyards, and to the landlords who worked alongside of us in good faith. We are moving forward the only way we should, and that is together. It is now my great honor to introduce our host, a dear friend, a great mayor, a great senator. Please help me welcome the one and only Brian P. Stack.
Thank you very much, everyone, and thank you for the great turnout that we have here today. Special thank you to Governor Murphy. Governor, without you, this wouldn't be possible, and I mean that sincerely. You've been so easy to work with on this issue. You've been in leadership on this everywhere. Thank you very much, Governor. Special thank you to the Senate President, Steve Sweeney, Speaker Coughlin, my colleagues in the Assembly, Raj and Annette, who were there side by side, the co-primes in the Senate, Assemblywoman Timberlake, thank you for your leadership in the Assembly and being so so far out there on this issue. I truly appreciate everything you've done. Thank you very much. Thank you. And just a special thank you to all of our colleagues in the Assembly and the Senate. The bill passed both unanimous in the Assembly, I believe, and also in the Senate, which is not easy. The governor can tell you that. To get unanimous support among the Senate, just the Senate alone is tough, never mind the Assembly. I look at Bernie Kenny, and Bernie knows that well as the former majority leader. Thank you, Bernie, for being here today. Senator Bernie Kenny. I'd also like to thank the tenant advocates, the dozens of advocates that definitely kept this issue alive, the countless hours that the advocates put in, so many to mention. Thank you to all those tenant advocates for everything that you've done. Thank you very much. Thank you very much to the Apartment Association. At one time, I thought that the Apartment Association saw me as the big bad wolf, and I saw them as the big bad bear. But working with David Brogan and the others in there, Nicole and Nick, it's been a pleasure to work with you and David, and you were very much a big part of getting this done. Thank you very much. I'll be very brief in my comments. The governor and Frank said it all, and I appreciate all of their comments. The legislation, as the governor, will stop evictions, but more importantly, put the money in the hands of the tenants and the landlords. This will allow landlords to get their bills paid, properly maintain their properties, and as the governor said, for the large part, most landlords are looking to do the right thing. And many of these landlords are not large landlords. They're mom-and-pop landlords, and we have many in Union City. Once again, the protections afforded in this bill will help the most vulnerable, which is so important. I grew up in Union City my whole life, and I didn't grow up far from here, about 6 blocks away on 7th and Palisade Avenue. And then I lived on 11th Street. Now I still live in downtown Union City on 6th Street, and my mom was a superintendent. My dad was a blue-collar worker on the railroad. And I've heard about tenant issues since I'm a kid, and that's what got me involved. And truly, I know the struggles that people face that would come into my mom and dad's apartment. That's maybe why I got involved politically. Not maybe, but the reason why I did get involved and infected with the civic and political bug in Hudson County, to really go out there and help people. And today is a day when you see legislature and a governor and everyone come together, Democrats and Republicans. We had tremendous bipartisan support on the bill, and the leadership of the Republicans in the Senate and the Assembly. I could speak more about the Senate because I deal with them more on a regular basis, but everyone came together on this, and that's so important. And it's really when elected officials work at their best to resolve problems, and I thank everyone for being involved in that. Thank you to my staff in my office, Lady, Fanny, Alex, everyone who worked hard on this legislation. Thank you very much. But I can't say enough about the leadership of Governor Murphy, his smart and caring leadership. He's an intelligent man, but what's more important, Governor Murphy has a tremendous heart for the poor people and for the working people. And I say that, I get the chills when I say that. It means the world to me. It means the world to me. I'd knock down a wall for you, and I mean that. Thank you very much for what you've done. The governor leads by example, and if the country would only follow what New Jersey is doing today under the governor's leadership, we'd be better off for it. And I would just like to say thank you to my good friend Albio Sierras. We started off in politics in the beginning, losing a couple elections together. Thank you for Albio for being here. To my colleagues, my Mayor Rodriguez, also Mayor Turner. Mayor Rodriguez is a pleasure to work with. Mayor Turner, well, no, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. He's the best, Rich Turner. And a special thank you to my fiancée, Mercedes, who puts up with me on a daily basis. Thank you. Thank you to everyone here that came today to this from all over New Jersey, from Union City. Thank you, and God bless you. And thank you, Governor, again.
Wow. Let's hear it again for one more time for Mayor Brian P. Stack. We wouldn't be here without you. Almost everybody's happy about this, including, you may have heard, the dogs. The dogs are happy. So we got everybody on this one. Bless you, Brian. Thank you for your leadership. Brian, there you go. I love it. I love it. I love it, man. I just have to say something about the woman to your right, who we're going to hear from. Literally, when it was cold, dark, and lonely, on eviction matters, on back rent, on arrearages and utility payments, a voice could be heard day in and day out in the Assembly It was unwavering. It was persistent, passionate, and we would not be here today. I mentioned we wouldn't be here today without Brian, but let me also say very clearly we would not be here today without her. Please help me welcome Assemblywoman Brittany Timberlake.
How's everyone doing? You know, Governor Murphy is a man of great character. He's a gentleman, and it's been an honor and a privilege to work with him through and through. Because Gov, whenever it was dark and cold, I had someone who was right there, and that was you, the entire time in lockstep. So thank you so much for that. And I could, of course, say the same thing for Speaker Craig Coughlin, who was right there in the trenches with me. I'm a military child, okay? I'm a daughter of a soldier. So when I talk about trenches and needing someone in the trenches with you to help you shoot out, I know a little bit about what I might be talking about. Thank you, Gov, for being in those trenches, and thank you, Senator Stack, also, for your work and being there too. This isn't about politics as usual, right? This is about all of you. This is about your families. Having an opportunity to keep a roof over your head. We're coming out of a pandemic, hoping, and the governor's fighting like hell to make sure we don't slip back into one. But our homes actually symbolized even our schools. Because the children were learning from where? Their homes and their living room. Our homes have so much meaning to us all. It's where we go and gather in celebration. It's where we go and gather to mourn. It's where we go to lay our heads. It's where we seek refuge. It is our peace. I know what it feels like to have the threat of losing your home. I know what it feels like to be in poverty and to be facing big corporations or stronger, more powerful beings, certainly more wealthier, and not knowing what tomorrow will bring. And that's the reason why, through it all, we stayed the course and made sure that we fought to have this day come. And it wouldn't be so without all the names that I mentioned, but also without the strong advocacy groups that I have to mention as well by name. Stacy Berger, stand up. Stand up. Matt Hirsch, Drew Curtis, Maria Irene Lopez, Adam Gordon, James Williams, Eric Dobson, Jody Stewart, Amanda Davika Reiner, honestly, Beverly Brown Regia. These are people who have spent their entire careers, over 30 years, fighting for housing justice, which, by the way, in the state of New Jersey, we actually lead the country in foreclosures, and there was a housing crisis prior to COVID-19. And this is about making sure that we do not exasperate that crisis and that we can make sure that your family has a place to lay their head at night. Now, through it all, I would be remiss if I didn't also thank my family, because we conceived, birthed, and had a whole entire human being during this time. And my husband, with such patience, Dimitri, I have to say thank you to him, because he patiently rolled his eyes while being nice by my maternity bedside as I was picking up the phone, making sure that we were still working for that all people would have a place to bring their newborn babies home to. That all people would have a place to make sure that their family has a place to call home. That's what it was about. That's what the dedication is, and I couldn't have done it without this team, without Senator Brian Stack, without my colleagues in the legislature. The housing chairperson, okay, Benji Wimberly, stand up, through and through, Angela McKnight, a co-sponsor in the Assembly, through and through, and Assemblywoman Shanique Spate, also a co-sponsor, a prime sponsor in the Assembly. I'm talking about late nights on the phone, drafting legislation, pens and paper, meetings through Zoom, okay? I appreciate you and your support as prime sponsors, and all of my colleagues, you know, Annette and Naraj, thank you so much. This is for you, this is for the people, and this is what you have elected us to do. We don't work for big corporations, we work for you. Thank you.
Let's hear it again. Assemblywoman Brittany Timberlake. Thank you, thank you, thank you to all of your colleagues. One more voice, but it's an important one. No matter how good a job we do with our extraordinary legislative partners, and I also want to shout out Senate President Steve Sweeney and Assembly Speaker Craig Coughlin, because we're not here today without the two of them as well. But no matter how good a job we do, whether it's in the executive branch, the legislative branch, with all of the extraordinary organizations, nonprofits, community organizations, at all levels of government within our state, within the four walls of New Jersey, no matter how good a job we do, we can't get done what we need to get done for New Jersey without fierce advocacy and representation in Washington. And in that respect, it's a great honor to introduce for our final few words your congressman, one of the great fighters for the state of New Jersey, Congressman Albio Ceres.
Well, good morning, everyone. Buenos dias. First of all, let me just say that I'm thrilled to be here because once again, New Jersey and Governor Murphy is ahead of the curve. One more time. You know, I left the Congress without passing protection for tenants. I come to New Jersey, and you're there for our tenants in New Jersey, so it's a real credit to you, and of course, my friend Brian Stack. Brian was not kidding when he said we lost a few elections. But I was involved in the legislature before I became a congressman, and I know how hard it is. So Brittany, I give you a lot of credit, all the legislators that are here, and Brian, I know how much you care for people. I know what you've done for Union City. And I know you look around, this is a tenant town. And the COVID has been devastating to people. It really has. And when people say, don't get vaccinated, it makes me sick. You know, it makes me sick. The governor is absolutely right. We all know somebody who's gotten sick. We all know somebody that has passed away because somebody passed that on to them and they haven't gotten vaccinated. So get vaccinated before you hurt anybody else. You know, we have the same issue in Congress. We have the same issue. People don't want to get vaccinated. And the country, just look at the southern part of this country where the governors are not as good as the governor that we have here in urging people to vaccinate themselves. So this is a great day. This is a day that we're ahead of the curve. We left without protecting tenants. New Jersey is protecting the tenants here and for the next until this COVID pandemic is over. So everyone here should be very thankful for what we're doing here, Brian Stack and the Assembly, because they see the needs of the people of this county, of the state, and they move on it right away. So I am proud to call my friend Brian Stack because of all the work that he does. And I know how the other legislators, how hard they work. And I know how hard it is to get legislation through to the Senate or the Assembly. And I'm glad to see my friend Bernie Kenny here. You know, he worked a long time for all of us, so it's nice to see him here. I'm going to excuse myself for a few minutes. Déjenme decirle a todos esos que están ahí atrás con los letreros y toda esa conmemoraría que tienen ahí atrás que no quieren vacunarse. Hay que vacunarse. El gobernador lo dijo. New Jersey hoy en día está saliendo de pandemia por el esfuerzo de este gobernador. Y claro, inmediatamente los alcaldes de esta área, incluyendo a Stack, incluyendo a Turner, incluyendo a Gabriel y todo el mundo, se lanzaron inmediatamente para proteger al pueblo con sus vacunas. Y sigue protegiendo al pueblo con sus vacunas. So, déjenme decirle esto, esta ley que pasaron hoy aquí es para proteger a los inquilinos. Y yo sé que el alcalde Stack tiene mucho interés en proteger a esos residentes de este pueblo y de este condado y de este estado. Porque la realidad es que el COVID ha acabado con familia, ha acabado con trabajo, ha acabado con todo. Y tenemos que vencer a este COVID y ayudar a esas personas que no han podido pagar la renta, y a esos dueños que no han podido mantener sus edificios. Esta ley protege todo eso. So, de nuevo, déjenme darle las gracias por tenerme a mí aquí y darle las gracias al gobernador Murphy por todo su esfuerzo. No muchos gobernadores vienen aquí a esta área tantas veces como ha venido Murphy. So, muchas gracias. Y vacúnense, vacúnense, y vacúnense, y vacúnense. Todos que se vacunen. Muchas gracias.
Let's hear one more time. Congressman Albio Ceres. No more time to waste. Let's sign this bill. Hey, Frank, Albio.
Can we get the others up?
Come on up, guys. The legislators.
Can
Yeah.
we get everybody up?
Stacy!
No, she's not.
Should we have that?
I don't have a pen for now.
Is that what you're saying? Should we have the applicants in there too?
Yeah, bring them all up, absolutely.
Yeah, the only problem is there's no pen. There's no, they don't have
Hey,
pens.
guys, I'll give them a pen later.
That's it.
A mí mi familia vivió en West New York. Me recuerdo cuando contestaron la elección contra Vecinos. Me recuerdo Vecinos.
This is the money shot. I can't see a thing, but it'll look good. Okay, with that, Brian, I gotta get my glasses on here. Rich, don't be mad at me. I don't have a pen for you. You gonna speak to me still? Okay. First bill up is Senate Bill number 3691. And the name at the top of the list of sponsors is Brian P. Stack. The name at the top of the list of the Assembly members are Brittany Timberlake, we just heard from them, but also Benji Wimberly, Angela McKnight, Shanique Spate, and then Senators Ron Rice and Teresa Ruiz. The synopsis is that it provides financial relief to certain landlords and tenants in response to the COVID-19 pandemic, and it adjusts certain court fees and makes appropriations. That's one of the driest explanations for a bill that puts $750 million to work. Unbelievable. First pen goes to the chair of the Latino Action Network Housing Committee, my dear friend, Frank Argote Freire. Frank, love you, buddy.
Yeah, thank you, Governor.
God bless you, man. Mayor, Senator Brian P. Stack.
All right.
God bless you. Assemblywoman Brittany Timberlake. Congressman Albio Ceres. Congratulations, man. I'm going to give this one in absentia, Matt Stanishi, to Assemblywoman Annette Keano, who wanted to be here and could not be. I want to make sure I get enough here.
Don't worry about it. Just sign the letter.
We're good, we're good.
Yeah, sign the bill. That's it, right, Annette?
Just get the bill signed, right? Assemblywoman Angela McKnight, congratulations. I'm now going to sign Assembly Bill 4463. On the list of sponsors, again, Annette Keano, Benji Wimberly, Raj Mukherjee, Senator Troy Singleton, and Senator Brian P. Stack. This establishes, this is an important one, I mentioned this in my remarks, it establishes confidentiality of court records of certain eviction actions initiated during the COVID-19 pandemic. Incredibly important for a person's financial future. First pen for this bill, your Assemblywoman, Annette Chaparro. Annette, bless you. Love you.
Getting live.
The coach, Assemblyman Benji Wimberly. Congrats, buddy. And last but not least, your Assemblyman Raj Mukherjee. Raj, congratulations, buddy.
Thank you, Annette.
I am incredibly proud to say that these are now the law of the land. Can we get a shot? Can I come back here? Can I come between you? Gabe, don't be mad at me. I'll get you next week.